G'day everyone, and welcome to my action research proposal for researching and developing engaging pedagogies assessment. Firstly, my professional practice was held at Kingswood Park Public School for 6 weeks at the beginning of Term 2 last year in 2021. Kingswood Park Public School was a lovely little school of approximately 150 students between preschool to year 6. It is located within a low socio-economic area of Kingswood, where some students are growing up with low income and have encountered traumatic episodes within the early years of their childhood. The school was a challenge as behavioural issues was quite high at the school, but through observing my mentor teacher and evaluating my students and their traumatic home lives, I came to understand the necessity of teaching techniques that I had to implement into my teaching for those students to achieve the best possible outcome. Students' differentiation was quite apparent within my class. Most students were quite low with their education, and yet the others were only producing a sound understanding of their work. I taught a Year 2 class where some students were reading as low as level 3 and as high as level 28. Due to varying levels of education, SLSOs was constantly in and out of the room, taking students for mathematical, writing, and reading support. The students I taught were also close to their peers. As a class of 20, all of them have been friends and grown up been in the same class since kindergarten, which has strengths and weaknesses. Their strengths is they work so collaboratively together in mathematical groups and other group lessons that revolve around group discussion. However, B, they can be easily distracted. Because they're all friends, they often go off task and have to be reminded to stay within the task. The 21st century pedagogy I've chosen is inclusive based learning approach, or IBL. IBL is all about letting the students lead the discussion and pose the questions, while also give the opportunity for students to be structured and guided, yet open to allow students to assume personal roles in their learning. Well-constructed IBL experiences foster investigation, a cultivation of skills, organization, drawing conclusions, problem-solving, enhancement, interaction, observation, constructivism, and cooperative learning, just to name a few. This is a quote from Wallace and Husted, 2017. The specialized area of choice that I've chosen using the IBL strategy will be English, and specifically the K-10 English syllabus strand EN2/7B, which identifies how language use in their own writing differs according to their purpose, audience, and subject matter. IBL gives opportunities for students to engage with their creative imaginations, allowing lessons within English to have more open-ended questions that lead with different and unique results, which are so important. Students need to develop their own intellectual and social characteristics within their learning. IBL also aligns with AITSL Standard 1.1, as you as teachers select from a flexible and effective repertoire of teaching strategies to suit the physical, social, and intellectual development and characteristics of students. To continue, through looking back at my practice, I've evaluated these students will engage more when giving more unique learning opportunities that they can pose to questions. By evaluating my data, I've developed 3 consecutive lessons within the English strand to help develop student engagement using the IBL pedagogy, allowing students to take charge of their learning, explore different methods that help explore their ideas and relate it to their own learning. My first lesson uses the outcome EN2/7B, and the content outcome, which identify and analyze the purpose and audience of imaginative, informative, and persuasive texts. In this activity, students split into 4 different table groups, each table group given an iPad each, and on the iPad is an assigned topic, which they have to decide whether they agree or disagree with. The topic questions include, they either agree or disagree that student lunch breaks should go for 2 hours instead of 1, or they agree or disagree that they should be in a beach is better than going to the snow. Students are asked to research, brainstorm, and develop these topic questions and present it to the class, focusing on emotive language in their debates to provoke meaning. Pardon me. Learning experience 2 is all about identifying, analysing, and making constructive statements that agree or disagree with an issue. Students are asked to quickly brainstorm an idea, any topic of their choice, to whatever they want to talk about. Students are now asked to research and develop their ideas and create their own presentation upon the topic of their choice. The presentation goes about for 2 minutes, And students are asked to present it and then asked to reflect upon it and whether they like what they liked about representation and what were their strengths and weaknesses. Students are leading the discussion and research using their personal opinions to real-life world to think of a topic that's meaningful to them. Learning experience 3 is all about making a courtroom drama scenario. Students are asked to quickly brainstorm and vote for 2 persuasive writing topics of their choice. Students will decide if the topic they wish to talk about and if they agree or disagree with. Sort of like lesson 1, there'll be 4 debates they want to speak, they can debate in, and they have to agree or disagree. The room will be set up like a courtroom with a judge, jury, witness, and lawyer, as you can see in the photo above. Students will be asked to express the argument to the judge and jury, while the others will think of counter-arguments to the topics. At the end of the first lesson, I'll be collecting data through annotations and reflections that I've noticed when observing students. Firstly, I'll be walking around the room while groups brainstorm ideas for the debate, annotating which students are taking lead in discussions, whilst also asking different student questions about the task to assist in whether they have a firm understanding of the task or not. At the end of the lesson, during the debate, I'll be using a voice recording device on the smartboard to record each persuasive speech and save it as a reference when reflecting student participation, engagement, and understanding of success criteria. Within the second lesson, I'll be collecting data through work samples the students provide after a presentation as they were handing their paper of annotated ideas, speech quotes, and drafts to me at the end of the lesson. I will again use a recording device to record each presentation to use as a reference when annotating each student's work samples. My main goal of assessment will be comparing the draft notes to the presentation and see if they provided, developed, and understood / an engaging presentation during the lesson activity. Finally, within lesson 3, at the end of the class courtroom debate, I'll be collecting reflection samples that students undertook after listening to every presentation, evaluating what they perceived as strengths and weaknesses of the performed persuasive speeches. The collective reflections help support whether students understand the success criteria of persuasive texts, as they can successfully annotate it themselves and other students to use successful language, research, and tone within the debate. Now, to evaluate student engagement with data, it is first to understand and recognize that students' engagement is a holistic, dynamic, and socially constructed process and acknowledges that every student is an individual and therefore works differently. This is a quote from Bryson in 2014. All students work and present information within different ways. Teachers should acknowledge and understand each student's strengths and weaknesses, as some students are not as comfortable as others presenting. However, it shouldn't be the main point of assessment through the data collection, but on whether they are actively participating and attempting and engaging with the lesson you've provided. Through my data collection, I'll be analyzing engagement through a scaffolded data analysis worksheet that will have different elements of engagement and disengagement that I will use as a reference when reading and leading to the data collection from the above lessons. The main outcome I'll be trying to achieve from these activities is whether giving students the ability to control their own learning is an IBL teaching pedagogy is effective for student engagement or gives them more opportunities to distract themselves, which may cause elements of disengagement and cause distraction. Another form of evaluation to see whether this IBL activity was effective at student engagement is to use the MEE framework provided by Munns and Sawyer 2013, as we can see above. I'll be analyzing how each student is engaged within their work task by evaluating data which within high affective, high cognitive, and high operative areas. Specifically, I'll be focusing on the students that I know are easily distracted or tend to lose focus quicker than others. Compare and reflecting the information I gather from my IBL lessons on persuasive writing to other areas of annotated lessons within different subjects I've recorded. Comparing lessons, what was effective, and maintaining engagement to see which information to build more effective and engaging lessons within my future of teaching. My implemented action research has provided me a lot of new opportunities to reflect on my teaching abilities, as well as modify and adapt to better suit my students' learning styles. My implemented action report is intended to fit within the criteria of 1.1, 1.2, 3.3, and 3.6, which, to quickly summarize, is having the ability to know your students, know how they learn, and link the data obtained to reflect and improve current appropriate teaching strategies. This is in order to best achieve the positive reflection of my teaching and understand my strengths and weaknesses. A focus area I believe is crucial for student learning is engaging with standards 6.2, 6.3, and 6.4, which is engaging with professional learning, colleagues, and then applying it to classroom to improve student learning. Professional learning helps you develop and improve your learning areas for a colleague-based experience. It allows you to listen to each different teaching approaches and strategies from professional learning, and also your teammate experiences, then apply your strengths into your own teaching pedagogy. Furthermore, by carrying out my actual research, I'll be able to best understand how different students learn and adapt my teaching to best suit their differentiation, adapt to student confidence, and utilize different teaching pedagogies and strategies from staff and professional learning to help support my students overall. Thank you very, very much for listening. Have a lovely day.